Hello, guests. Welcome back to my coven. So, if you're interested in becoming a witch, um, there is a key difference between what kind of witch you want to be. And you can either be Wiccan or Pagan. And so the difference is that Wiccans believe in the power of three. And that means like the rule of three, which is kind of what energy you put into a spell. And that means they focus on harm to none and it is a religion. As for being pagan, we don't always abide by the rule of three. Um, Obviously, that doesn't mean we do or don't believe in um, harming no one, but some people are a little flexible in that because there are white, gray, and black pagans. And um, I feel like I'm a mixture of Wiccan and pagan, so like I feel like I'm kind of gray, leaning more towards white. Like I don't like to do that. Like, for example, like hexes and curses, I avoid them. Um, of course, if you're Wiccan, how you put your energy into a spell affects the spell. So like most of them say harm to none at the end of a spell. It also like focuses on your attention for it, like what you're feeling, what you want from it. And of course, there is even black and white magic. Um, and the gray bounces between those. So it's less confusing for that. Of course, there are no-nos in paganism, like taking away choices. For example, like I don't like even doing love spells because it manipulates emotions. Obviously, if I was with my partner and I was like, "Hey, I want to perform a love spell on us to kind of reinvigorate our love for each other," obviously that's a little bit different. I would obviously get whoever I am with their permission first to perform it, but most of the time I try to avoid spells like that. Um, there's also the wrong of using someone else's magical energy for your spell without their permission. So you always need to get permission first before asking for taking their energy for a spell or whatever you need help with. Also, you need to avoid using people and or using spells for personal gain. Obviously, that is when I definitely emphasize harm to none. So, for example, if I am doing something for my gain, like a money spell, obviously I make sure to include harm to none, or like, hey, I exclude these people, that kind of thing. So there is a little bit of flexibility there, but obviously we should not be using people for our own gain, and we should not be using spells for our own personal gain. And I do actually kind of think that belongs a little bit with the Wiccan. I think that's also why I'm partially a little bit Wiccan. And then also, we need to avoid stealing someone's luck, power, or energy. And we need to be careful of even stealing their emotions. I do have a lot of tea in regards to this, like why some of these rules are a no-no. If somebody wants me to spill the tea, I could spill the tea. But another no-no is lying to deities, which is also part of the tea. Um, for now, I think that's a pretty good list of things that I have noticed, at least with my time in being witchy, of like what the no-nos are, and this is what I was taught in regards to like what the differences were between Wiccan and Pagan. I honestly don't think there's that much of a difference. I do know, like I said, Wiccans believe in the power of three, so I feel like they're very numerically focused on the number three for like certain things. Um, I'm not going to get into that too much because obviously I don't really have that much research done for that, but I know they take a lot of notice for the number three. But I think that's a pretty good place to leave off. So I'd appreciate if anybody else has any ideas of like what to add to this for like no-nos for either side, or like want to talk about or explore either side more. Um, conversation is, I really like conversation about this kind of stuff. I love learning more. But I think that's a good place to leave off for now. So if you could like, comment, or subscribe, that would be really amazing.